So disclaimer right off the bat, I didn't put this fence together. This was put in by the previous owner of our property, and this is what I'm here to talk to you about. So what you can see right here is welded wire fence. So this is the stuff that you'll find at Tractor Supply and Big R and most of your retail locations where you can find fence material. This stuff is about 1.5 by 3 inches or 2 by 3, and you can see, if I don't know if you can see from the video, but the joints are welded. So this type of fencing poses a couple of issues with goats. So number one, it is easily breakable. So all of these little welds that you see along here, it takes goats no time at all to go ahead and pop these welds loose. All it takes is them rubbing against it, scratching themselves against it, etc., climbing on it, putting their hooves in it, bends it down. This is not the type of fence that you want to use for your goats. I see it almost everywhere I go. I see that fencing used, and it is not good stuff. You pay considerably less for it than you would if you got woven wire fence, but it is a complete and total waste of money unless you have small dogs that you're trying to keep in, or if you need like a garden fence or something. But this is not long-term. It can't hold up to the long-term wear and tear of goats. There's no telling how many times I've gone out to a farm where they've used this stuff, and the whole fence row looks mangled. They don't know why they can't keep the goats in, and etc. So yeah, so this is what I'm here to talk to you about today, is to do not use this welded wire fence for goats. You can use it for other things. I'm not dogging it as a whole product. It's just not for goats. So I told you guys, if you stuck around towards the end of the video, that I would show you a couple of solutions that you can use. One of them is the best solution. The other is a good solution, but we'll get into that here in a second. So option number one would be our most ideal scenario. Now, this is the most ideal fencing. However, it is the most expensive that you can get. And don't mind all the goats. Everybody's yelling right now. So the best solution for goat fence is going to be Red Brand sheep and goat fence, or a similar brand. I mean, you don't have to get Red Brand. That's just what I have. It has this red wire across the top. This stuff is woven wire fence. So the difference between that welded wire fence and the woven wire fence is that the woven wire fence, you can actually get some stretch out of it. So you can probably see they've stretched this out a good bit, and I'm probably going to have to retighten it, but I don't have to replace it. I also installed this myself, so a self-installation compared to a professional installation is obviously you're going to have some adjusting and tightening and whatnot. So this stuff is going to last you years versus the welded wire might last you one season. So this is the best case scenario. They can't stick their head through it. They can't get their head stuck. They can't break it. It can bend quite a bit without tearing up. And I have all of these goats in here right now. They've been in here for a hot minute, and probably couple months they've been behind this fence, and they are all still inside. I've not once had them break out of it. Real quick, I just wanted to mention that I appreciate you guys for watching, and I hope that you guys find this information useful. If you do, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. If you got any other fencing tips or any other good options for goat fencing that I haven't mentioned, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if you guys have any questions, or if you want to know more about goat fencing, you can leave that in the comments as well, and I usually get back to everybody. So appreciate you guys. So this is going to be the second option of fencing that I'm going to present. Now this is a welded wire fence. However, this is cattle panel. And cattle panel, you've got two short sections at the bottom, and then you've got I believe 6-inch sections that go all the way up. And now there's pros and cons to this fence. So pros are going to be that it's extremely sturdy and the goats are not going to be able to break it just due to the gauge of wire. So your welded wire fence over there is, I mean, it's extremely thin gauge wire, so the welds don't hold. But this fence, because it's very thick, it can hold up against all their wear and tear. And I've even used it for the cows, and I've had no issues. I mean, it's called cattle panel. So pros to this one, it's extremely durable. It's pretty easy to work with. You can kind of cut it to fit any shape that you want, and it also provides some rigidity to the fence. I usually use this stuff on either side of my gates, where my gates start, or if I have like a short termination right here. So I have this short section of fence that I'm not going to stretch fence on. I'll just I'll staple a piece of cattle panel on here, and it works real well. You want to make sure that you use barbed staples and you get them hammered in there real tight, because if anybody gets to pushing on this other side, you can the ends of the cattle panel can slip out. Another way around that would be to bend the ends of the cattle panel around the staple once you got it stapled in. So the cons of this type of fence is going to be that you really shouldn't put cattle panel, you shouldn't install cattle panel for goats in areas that you don't see every single day, multiple times a day. Reason being is that they can get their head stuck in this. And when I was a kid, I'll never forget, we were watching somebody's property in Tennessee, and we had a big ice storm that night. And there was a goat that got their head stuck in the fence. And when we got out there the next day, that goat was frozen standing up in the fence. So this stuff, I exercise caution when you do use it, because you need to be careful and make sure that you only use it up around your buildings or in places where you're not worried about somebody's getting their head stuck and then you don't see them for a day or two. But yeah, this stuff is, I believe, about it's $34.99 a panel, and the panels come 16-foot lengths. That welded wire, the woven wire that I showed you guys, the Red Brand woven wire, that stuff is about $420 for a 330-foot roll. So either way, these are substantially more expensive than that cheap welded wire that I showed you guys. But you will save money in the long run, because your goats aren't going to get out. They're not going to be in danger. You don't have to replace the welded wire fence. You know, honestly, I'd have to replace it annually with my goats. And yeah, so if you enjoyed this video, feel free to share it with your friends. If you have any homesteady goat friends, or anybody who's thinking about getting into goats or starting a goat farm, don't make this mistake, because you will end up paying for it in the long run. And that stuff, the thin welded wire serves its purpose, but this is not its purpose. So thanks for sticking around, guys, and we'll catch you next time.